Welcome back to another Saturday snippet covering Dingo roof repairs. This roof came to me at Stoneleigh, so a little while in the workshop, but we're finally onto it. I'm at the moment just checking for where the damage is. The customer gives me a rough idea but doesn't actually tell me where, so I know I've got one patch which I instantly mark with some tailor's chalk, and then I noticed the front two corners which we did have a discussion about. So quite a bit of work needed. I'm then just deciding whether I want to use fabric or I actually want to use leather. In this case I've decided to go for leather because of where it actually sits on the armour of a Dingo. It's constant a bit of a wear patch. I wanted to reinforce it. This roof's had a bit of repairs in the past. And there you saw my handy assistant and I just having a discussion about what's the best process. Sometimes I do ask for a little bit of advice, and he's helping me take the lift the dot machine screws out. This is so I can move the metal bracket that's actually it's used to fix part of the canvas to the armour on those pegs that you can see. It's the best way for me to get a really good repair, so sometimes we do have to disassemble it to then reassemble it. It's a little hard work and sometimes I do struggle with it, so instead of me struggling I just go and ask for help now. So you can see I've sliced down the seam on one side just to release it so I can move and get that leather in. I'm now at the moment patterning it, and that's so I've got the right piece of leather to stick in. As you can see, there's no wastage. And then once I've got the leather pieces ready, just moved the heater there, it was a very cold morning, I'm cutting those leather patches out. They're pretty identical, remarkably, and I like to do that because then when you see it on the roof it looks like it's meant to be like that. So in this case I'm doing the top patch as well. That was a good 4 inches long. I decided to do that with a piece of leather as well, just keep that in keeping. Where we do use fabric, but sometimes it's better for that leather. So just discussing this, going through it, explaining what I'm going to do. I often get people pop into the workshop and wondering what I'm onto. I have no issues, so now it's just a case of pop those leather ins, hold them in place and get them ready to sew. This is where I then need to bring out the big guns and get my big machine out, which is Sydney. Remarkably, I call him Sydney because he's a cylinder arm machine designed to work with leather. Beast of a machine, absolutely love him, but he'll make short work of sewing this amount of fabric and leather together. So I'm just setting it up ready. Fortunately I haven't got my sewing table ready at the moment, so it's a little bit jerry-rigged. So here I am putting the first patch on, so I just sew around the outside of it. I try to use as little stitching as possible, not too close together, because I am obviously conscious this fabric is quite old and the last thing I want to do is cause it to perforate or have any issues. So my handy assistant is back, and this is because the Dingo roof has 2 metal frames in, and for me to try and sew it without a good table, the weight would then put too much stress on my needles. So again, needed that trusty assistant to come and help. They say many hands make light work, so it just made it a lot easier for me. So back and forth a little bit, making sure we get that done. You can probably already gather I have sped the video up, and that is because no one can work or wants to watch this at the normal speed. It did take me a little while to get it done, but you get the idea. So doing the final bit, going round, making sure it's all nice and secure. I do love actually using this machine. It doesn't get used as much because I don't do a lot of leather work at the moment. It seems to all be canvas, but it does have its uses, and this is one of them. This is me sewing back the channel in that you saw me remove. I only took it as little as possible, and I am actually trying to go back through the existing holes. The reason why I do that is the more holes in the fabric the weaker it becomes, and it is always a risk when you are actually doing a repair. Next challenging bit is to get that bracketry piece back in line with the holes to put those lift the dot studs back in. And for me, this is where I actually use my handy assistant again. As he took them out, he remembers where they went, and it's easy to just get him to put them back in than for me to struggle. Little struggle in the corner, and that's because we've now, instead of just having 2 layers of fabric, we've got 2 layers of fabric plus that leather, so it's increased it, so those machine screws need a little bit of tender loving care to get actually through them. But we overcome that issue, not a problem, and it just took a little longer than I anticipated, but sometimes these things are sent to try us. But it's starting to look like it should. So here's my handy assistant still carrying on. It was a little bit challenging, but nothing stops him. Loves a good challenge, and the end is nearly in sight. It's just a case of putting the last little rivets in that go either side of those pegs, and they were put in there before. I think it's just as an added reinforcement because of the way the stitching is. I've never seen it on other Dingo roofs that I've done, but each one is slightly different. Finally getting that finished, and then it's all ready to have a final inspection. You can see some of my repair work there, and just putting those rivets in, as I say. Laying it all out, double checking everything. Before then I'll be rolling that up ready, and then you'll see this is me then getting ready to roll it up. And here's the final photos of the repair works that we've carried out on the roof. Thanks for watching.